Mystery is generally a feeling of not knowing what exactly will happen next, not knowing what is going on, the unknown, which to that, Kingdom Hearts is a series known for its mystery. Ever since the very first game on the PS2 and onwards, the series has just had layers and layers of lore and new details to uncover. The series lore is probably more dense than ever, with the Key Saga adding another massive piece of the Kingdom Hearts puzzle, or perhaps just a new puzzle entirely, on top of many releases in the Dark Seeker saga. Mystery is the perfect word I'd use to describe my interest in Yozora and the world he's from. It's almost comparable to the feeling you had while playing Kingdom Hearts 1, when you hear about this Ansem person who you know did a lot of research on the Heartless, but outside of that, you know very minimal about him, except that he disappeared and the things he left in his reports. Of course, later there will be much more revelations about Ansem, adding to the mysterious nature, but this was just one aspect of the mystery Kingdom Hearts 1 had with its story, which would later be built on in games like Kingdom Hearts 2 with the organization and the nobodies. When I think about the next saga, the Lost Masters arc, Yozora and Quadratum, and how this all has a connection to our world, as much as I can theorize or try and sound convincing about how I think things will go, in actuality, I'm pretty much at a loss. I have no clue where the story is going to go, what Quadratum truly is, anything about Yozora's true identity. I only really know bits and pieces of the Master's quote, true intentions. We still have zero clue as to what happened to Master Ava. All we have to go off of is something really vague Luxu said.
I told her, clear as day, what it is I had to do.
And is that why you decided to exclude her?
As if. Ava had her own mission, and she carried it out.
And I just have to clarify, none of this is a bad thing. I love it. It's that same feeling I had growing up experiencing the series and the story, and it feels nice to not know what really is going to happen and being able to just let the story flow. I see this as the return of mystery in Kingdom Hearts. Not that it was gone, but as in it wasn't as strong as it once was in the console games. Key, on the other hand, this feeling of mystery I'm attempting to describe is exactly why I loved following the story of Unicross so much. The world of Key is just uncharted territory for Kingdom Hearts, and following mysteries like who killed Trelitzia made that game's plot, despite its circumstances, pretty exciting. Kingdom Hearts 3 was a great game, and honestly is my favorite game in the series. Though throughout the game's build-up, including trailers, and while playing the game itself, I didn't quite have the same feeling I did entering other titles in the past. This, I believe, is due to a variety of factors, mostly involving the 6 years of marketing leading up to Kingdom Hearts 3, along with what the game was set up to be in the first place. We've commonly discussed how we felt Kingdom Hearts 3's marketing was a little too heavy on the big reveals and spoiler side of things in retrospect, that should have been left for the main game to be discovered. This isn't something exclusive to Kingdom Hearts 3. Square Enix in the past has shown lots of story bits in Kingdom Hearts trailers, but Kingdom Hearts 3 being the most anticipated game and having major reveals in most trailers past 2017 makes it more apparent in my eyes. These are, however, just the times we're in when it comes to some games now. It's sometimes hard to not see a trailer from your favorite game unless you just shut yourself off from social media completely, though I do think companies, when it comes to showcasing content, should be more aware as to what can affect a experience for a hardcore fan. Another factor in why I'd say the mystery in Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't as strong was simply due to time. When I say the return of mystery, this is a lot of what I mean. The last Kingdom Hearts game where mystery was heavy was with Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance on the 3DS, which released in 2012. Kingdom Hearts 3 wouldn't be released until 2019. 7 years, that's a lot of life moving by. In between that time, we mostly had Union Cross and multiple remixes. Kingdom Hearts 3D was essentially the last game that would set up Kingdom Hearts 3, the bridge leading into the finale. So it had a lot more things to introduce into the lore and questions to present. Kingdom Hearts 3, just from the ending of Dream Drop Distance, had its climax already set out. The war over the Keyblade, 7 lights, and 13 darknesses. So already, heading into Kingdom Hearts 3, you knew how the game would end and that the heroes would likely come out on top, but it was the journey leading into that which was the interest. How do we complete our 7 lights, since they are members short? If we can't save them, who will replace them? These were some of the serious questions going into Kingdom Hearts 3, which post Dream Drop Distance, we had 7 years to think about. However, these were some of the main things that the trailers would focus on maybe a bit too much. This didn't just go for the 7 lights, however. A big mystery coming out of Dream Drop Distance that people made many theories on leading into Kingdom Hearts 3 was who the new Seekers of Darkness would be, which is something that Kingdom Hearts 3 was entirely about, the 7 lights versus 13 darknesses. We knew for the most part who our 7 lights would be. The darknesses, however, were all a mystery, aside from Xehanort's other versions of himself and Saïx. I remember us theorizing about who would be in the new organization, and there were talks of Ansem the Wise around, returning characters, surprises. They would end up revealing pretty much every Seeker of Darkness in the trailers leading up to the game. As we got closer to the game's release, we knew so much about the game that was way less about what is going to happen or if, but rather a question of how or why. We already saw the Aku versus Sora fight before the game came out, so rather than question if that fight would even happen or if it was a surprise, it became a curiosity of how do we get to that point? At what point in the game does this fight happen? Roxas is in the game at some point, so how does Roxas return rather than if he does? You could even take this and go individually with Disney Worlds, as we saw major members returning like Marluxia, Larxene, and Luxord before the game released in trailers. Now, there were 100% some unknown aspects of Kingdom Hearts 3's story, even if you saw the trailers. Things we had no idea would happen. Things like the epilogue, for example, which I still believe is one of the best cutscenes in the entire series. Subject X was a big mystery introduced in Kingdom Hearts 3. The secret reports were filled with mystery. Yozora was introduced in Kingdom Hearts 3, and Remind is full of the feeling I'm describing. But while those may not be the only examples, all of them are other games' mysteries to expand upon, which will only make Kingdom Hearts 3 introducing them greater in retrospect. But for now, the bigger mysteries in the game that weren't spoiled or heavily hinted at in trailers are for other games. I love Kingdom Hearts 3's story for its moments, its emotional dialogue, great chemistry with Disney characters, the reunions, and seeing these heartfelt scenes I had fantasized about for years, not for its mystery, which again, I'm not really hurt over because it compensated in other ways that I just described. However, when it comes to that mysterious feeling other Kingdom Hearts games had, there's always some things you'd expect, but it was always balanced out by something you had no idea about, something surprising, something unknown that would add extra layers to the story. Remember when we beat Ansem in Kingdom Hearts 1? We didn't even question if that was the real Ansem or not, just contaminated by darkness, and he had to be defeated before he destroyed other worlds sort of thing, right? Then in Kingdom Hearts 2, when you visit Hollow Bastion, you discovered that this Ansem wasn't really Ansem at all. He was actually just Xehanort's Heartless, who was Ansem's apprentice.
You mean... What? We went through all that trouble to defeat an imposter?
Yup, a fake, but he still had to be stopped.
And this scene, that reaction right there Sora and friends had, is how a lot of us reacted to hearing that. The mystery of Ansem, who still hasn't been found, along with his apprentice, adding so much mystery to Kingdom Hearts 2's story at this point. You're not completely sure about where Riku is, you barely know the organization's full plans, much less Xemnas' intentions. It was all just very good, and there's a lot of unknown there. This is how I'm feeling with Yozora and Quadratum, how I felt during a lot of Union Cross's story updates. That slow burn into a reveal that you know is going to change your perspective on the story, or maybe it doesn't, I have no clue, and that's what I'm getting at. We don't know anything about Yozora, barely. We've seen a decent bit of the Master of Masters, and we still hardly know anything about him, truly. Blueshoe or Xigbar now has a whole other side we're still learning about, among other things. Yozora and the Master are perhaps the most mysterious characters in the series at this moment. The Master having these plans to take out darkness, perhaps for good, but he's only really giving bits and pieces of it to everyone, this being a plan that spanned hundreds of years, and there's just so much unknown about it, about him, about who he is, and what darkness really is in the Kingdom Hearts universe, which they've added even more layers to with Union Cross that might be expanded with Missing Link and Kingdom Hearts 4, and just a lot going further, which makes this story all just really exciting to get into. As always, as Kingdom Hearts fans, we'll have our fun, we'll theorize, we'll discuss, but hopefully when the game comes out, Kingdom Hearts 4, the game after that, I hope the mystery there is preserved. until at least we get the games in our hand. I know they might put Yozora in some trailers, maybe even we'll see Riku's side of Quadratum, and they might even do some demo showcasing or something when they are closer to release, though just please don't spill all the beans. I want to find out about Yozora's backstory in the game, not in the 3-minute trailer. Mystery is returning to the Kingdom Hearts franchise, because the start of a new saga, along with the introduction to a new side of the world, new characters, unreality that we know borderline nothing about, is us heading completely into the unknown. A world we know absolutely nothing about. This hopefully should provide some satisfying new experiences for us, and a great story to follow along with, as I have a feeling Nomura has wanted to tell aspects of this story for a while, but just didn't quite get the chance. I could go on and on all day about Mystery in Kingdom Hearts, and I probably will on stream or when the time is right, though I think for the purpose of today's discussion, we'll call it here. I just hope you guys enjoyed the video and maybe develop some thoughts of your own about Mystery in the franchise, which if you have some, I'd love to read them in the comments. However, if you enjoyed today's video, you already know what to do. Leave a like, share it with a friend or a family member, and last but not least, if you have not already and want to become a part of the union, all you have to do is hit that red subscribe button down below. My name is Prodigy, thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out to you guys. Bye.
Now she's a daydreamer.